Are you looking for your next fun, cozy, and glamorous crochet project? How about a diamond cupcake scarf? It's cute, trendy, and perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Hi, it's Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we are making a stunning diamond cupcake scarf. We all love a project that's quick, fun, and super stylish, right? Plus, with the weather changing, a handmade lacy scarf is just what you need to stay fashionable and warm. We'll be using basic crochet stitches and 4 easy-to-remember rows, so whether you're a beginner or a seasoned crocheter, this project is perfect for you. The finished size of my scarf is 45 inches long by 12 inches wide. I used Cakes Alpaca from Ice Yarns. It is a size 2 weight yarn. I'm using a 5mm crochet hook with that, but you could also use just regular worsted weight acrylic and a larger hook. I used a 6.5 or a K hook for this little sample, and you can see it also works out just so lovely. The multiple for this pattern is 10 plus 3, so if you want to use a different yarn, just use whatever hook size is suggested on the yarn label and make your starting chain a few inches longer than you want the width of your scarf to be. So just chain multiples of 10 and then add 3 at the very end, and you can make this any size you like. I used 200 grams, which is 620 meters. If you are using the same hook size that I am, a 5mm, and a DK weight or a size 2 or 3 weight yarn, you'll need 7 stitch markers, a needle for sewing in your ends, and a pair of scissors. If you're using a different yarn or a different hook, just grab a handful of stitch markers and pop one in every chain 10. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's get started. This yarn is a little bit dark for a tutorial, so I'm just going to be using a regular DK weight yarn for this tutorial, just so it's easier for you to see the stitches. So to start, just make a slip knot any which way you normally do. Shrink that down and pop it onto your hook. Grab your stitch markers, and we're going to chain sets of 10. So chain 10, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Roll those pretty little V's to the side, and you'll see these camel bumps along the back. I'm just going to pop a stitch marker right into that very first back loop. And chain 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Roll your chain to the side and pop a stitch marker into that last back loop we made. So now you can pause the video and keep working on your chain, doing a chain 70 all together, or until all your stitch markers are used up, or until your chain is 10 chains wider than you'd like your finished scarf to be. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, all of my patterns are available on my website, secretyarnery.com, and all of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there right beside you. For this tutorial, I'm just doing a shorter sample, so your chain will be longer than mine. But when you are done with your chain, go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to roll our chain to the side, and right where our stitch marker is, the 4th chain from your hook, we're just going to slide our hook in and make 1 double crochet. And you can pop that stitch marker out if it is in your way. Now into the next back loop, right there, or the next chain, 1 more double crochet. Into the next chain, or the next back loop. Now we're going to skip 2, so skipping 1 and 2, we're going to work into the 3rd back loop right here. We're going to go in and make 1 double crochet into the 3rd chain from your hook. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1 more double crochet into that very same chain. 1 double crochet. So we're making a type of a V-stitch like that. Skip 2, 1 and 2. We're going to start into the third. We're going to make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 chains, starting in the third chain from your hook. So skipping 2, starting in the third chain from your hook, 1 double crochet, and 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 chains. So you're making a total of 5 double crochet, 1 into each chain. You can pop those stitch markers out if they get in your way. But why I like those stitch markers is it tells you if you've lined up, like if you've done your chain correctly, each of your sets of 5 is going to look like that. So 1 into the stitch marker and 1 into the stitch after the stitch marker. So rolling that chain to the side again, skipping 2, 1 and 2, into the third, we're going to do our V-stitch. So 1 double crochet, chain 3, and 1 double crochet. There's my double crochet, my chain 3, 1 more double crochet into that very same chain. That makes our cute little V. So we're just going to repeat that all the way along the row, doing sets of 5 double crochets and then a V-stitch, and skipping 2 chains between everything. So skipping 2 again, 1 and 2, starting in the third, we're going to make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 chains. So wrap your yarn, skip 2, starting in the third chain from your hook, 1 double crochet, and 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 chains for a total of 5 double crochets. So there is my 5 double crochets, and my stitch markers are in the same spot. So just keep working along, skipping 2 and into the third stitch, we're going to do our V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. So you can pause the video and keep working along. You're going to be skipping 2 and then doing 5 double crochets, 1 into each stitch, skipping 2 and doing a V-stitch, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet. Then skipping 2 again and doing your 5 double crochets. So work all the way along your chain, and I'll meet you when you get to the end of your row. It'll look just like this. At the end of your row, you'll have 5 chains left. We are going to skip 2, 1 and 2, and make 1 double crochet into each of the last 3 chains. And the last chain can look quite small, but it is right there. So wrap your yarn, skip 2, and 1 double crochet into each of the last 3 chains. There is 1, 2, and 3. So that finishes the very first row. To start row 2, and this is the first row of the repeat, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. And we're going to work into this third stitch right here. So 1 double crochet into that third stitch, chain 2, and into the center of this V, we're going to make 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I'm going too fast or too slow, you can hit that gear on the video and speed me up or slow me down. So there's our set of 5 double crochets into that space, chain 2, and now we're going to make 1 double crochet into the beginning, the first stitch of our set of 5, and 1 double crochet into the last stitch of our set of 5, just to finish this off. So into the first stitch of the 5, 1 double crochet, and into the last stitch in the set of 5, 1 double crochet. Chain 2, and now we're right back at our V-stitch right there. So we're going to start a cupcake into this V-stitch right here. So 5 double crochets to start a cupcake. Don't worry about the pattern not making sense. Just follow along and you'll get the hang of it. When you see the pattern growing, you'll be able to identify what you need to do without referring back. So here is our 5 double crochets. Chain 2, and into the first stitch of our set of 5, 1 double crochet, and also into the last stitch of our set of 5, 1 double crochet. So 1 double crochet into the first stitch, and 1 double crochet into the last stitch, and chain 2. So you can pause the video and just repeat that all the way along your row, and I'll meet you when you get to the end right over here. At the end of your row, we have our 3 stitches left, and we've just finished our set of 5. So chain 2, we always have to chain 2 between everything for this row. We're going to make 1 double crochet into the first stitch of that last set of 3. So 1 double crochet, and 1 double crochet into our chain. So we're just going to be working right into our chain right over there. And you'd like 2 strands on the top part of your crochet hook, like that. So that finishes row 2. To start row 3, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This counts as our first double crochet and chain 1. Turn your work, and right into that same stitch, wrap your yarn, just go into that stitch and make 1 double crochet. Just like that. Into each of our sets of 5, we're going to make 1 double crochet into each stitch. So no chaining in between our V's and our sets of 5. We're just going straight into the 5. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Like that. And now we have our little triangle here, our little triangle. So we're going to turn our little triangles into an hourglass. So when you see your triangle or this dip in between the sets of 5, this spot right here, we're going to go straight in. So no chaining after our set of 5 for this row, right into that space. And we're going to do our V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 3, and 1 double crochet all into that same space. So that makes an hourglass or an hourglass shape, if you can see that. So anytime you see that point we made, these little spots right there, that's where you're going to build your hourglass when you see that. And now we're going to jump straight over into each of our stitches, 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we have the top of one of our cupcakes again, so that is going to turn into an hourglass. So we're going to do our V-stitch right into that upside down V-stitch. So put your hook right into that space, 1 double crochet, chain 3, and 1 double crochet. So now you can pause the video and keep working along. 1 double crochet into each of the stitches and a V-stitch into each of the spaces in between, all the way along, and I'll meet you when you get to the end of your row. It'll look just like that. At the end of your row, we're just going to be working right into this space right there, right at the end of our row. So just pop your hook in. We're going to make 1 double crochet. Chain 1 and 1 double crochet into that same space. Just like that. So that finishes row 3. To start row 4, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work into the space, into that chain 1 space right here. We're going to make 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now we have a full cupcake here, so 2 rows of our cupcake. That means we are ready to put that point on the top of it again. So we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the first stitch and the last stitch, 1 double crochet into each. So wrap your yarn and 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the last stitch, and chain 2. Into the V space, or the top of our hourglass, right there, we're going to start a cupcake. So 5 double crochets into the center of that V stitch right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're ready to put our little triangle or the icing on our cupcake. So chain 2, 1 and 2, wrap your yarn, 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the last stitch, and chain 2. So next we have our hourglass. The top of the hourglass is going to get a cupcake. So 5 double crochets into the space of that V-stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's the start of our cupcake. And now we're going to put the icing on this completed one. So it's 2 rows. We know it's complete. We are ready to put the icing on. So icing, chain 2, 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the last stitch, and chain 2. So you can pause the video and keep working along, starting a cupcake and then putting the icing or that little triangle on the completed one all the way along, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. At the end of your row, we're going to work right into this space. So 3 double crochets into the space. 1, 2, and 3. So that finishes row 4. To start row 5, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. We're going to make 1 double crochet into each of these 2 stitches. So into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and 1 double crochet into the next. just like that. Now for row 5, we're not chaining in between, so we're just going to jump straight over and into the top of our cupcake, our little icing, we are going to put a V-stitch or make our hourglass. So double crochet, chain 3, and 1 double crochet. Because we always want to be making that shape on top of our cupcakes. Jumping straight over to our 5 double crochets, we're going to top up our cupcakes. So 1 double crochet into each of those 5 stitches. Our cupcakes are always 2 rows. There's number 3. Just like that. And next, we have the top of a cupcake. We're going to turn that into an hourglass. We're just going to pop a V-stitch into there. So right into the center, into that space, 1 double crochet, chain 3, and 1 double crochet. Just like that. So there is 5 rows. It is a 5-row repeat, but you can see we're always kind of doing the same thing depending on what you see. So 5 double crochets all by themselves gets a second stack. So right, we have to complete our cupcake, make it taller. And when we see the top of a cupcake, that triangle, we have to turn that into an hourglass. So just it helps recognize what you need to do so you don't have to keep reading the pattern or wondering what to do next. So when you see those 5 double crochets all by themselves, time to put on that second row or top up those cupcakes. So 5 double crochets, 1 into each stitch. Like that. Next, we have the top of a cupcake, so we need to turn that into an hourglass with our V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet into the space. So there is our hourglass shape. And now you can pause the video and keep working along your row, doing your second row or topping up your cupcakes and making an hourglass or a V-stitch into the top of the cupcake of the row below. All the way along, I'll meet you when you get to the end of your row. It'll look like this. At the end of your row, you have 3 stitches left. So you want to make 1 double crochet into each of those. So 1 into each of the 2 stitches and 1 into the chain. So wrap your yarn and into the first stitch, 1 double crochet, into the second stitch, 1 double crochet, and into the chain, 1 double crochet. So that finishes row 5. So now you have done all of the different rows to continue this pattern, but I'll show you row 6. It's the exact same as row 2, but row 2, we were just starting out. We didn't really have our legs underneath us yet. So I'll just do row 6 with you now, and you'll be able to tell what you need to do just by looking at the edge here. And I'll show you more of that after we finish the next row. So to start row 6, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. You have your 3 stitches to start, 3, 3, and you can tell what you need to do by looking at the edge of our work. Everything happens in sets of 2. So we have 2, which is our hourglass, 2 spaces here that match, and then we have 2 half cupcakes that match. So the next 2 rows have to be hourglasses or the spaces, depending on which way we're doing it, an upside down V or a regular V. So you can tell what you need to do because we've already done 2 rows that match, so it's time to start a row that doesn't match. So we're going to be doing this row here. So that is a double crochet in to this last stitch of that set of 3. So skipping 1 and into the second, 1 double crochet. Now we can see this is where we're going to begin a cupcake because we have our V-stitch facing up. So we know we have to start a cupcake here. And we can look and see we have 2 rows of our 5, so we know we have to finish those off with our icing or that little triangle on top. So for this row, we're going to be starting cupcakes and icing cupcakes. So we've done this before. We've done it a couple times. It's only the beginning of the row that changes. So next, we are going to be starting a cupcake. We can see that that is the top of an hourglass. So that is going to be where we start a cupcake. So chain 2, 1 and 2, and right in to this space, 5 double crochets. Now we're ready to put icing, or to do the little triangle on the top of our cupcake, 2 rows of 5 double crochets, that's a cupcake. So ready to put icing on it, that triangle. So chain 2, 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the last stitch, and chain 2. And we're ready to start a cupcake. So we've done this row before, we know what it looks like, we know how to do it, and now I think you will be confident in repeating this pattern all the way along. Five double crochets, and we're ready to put our icing. Icing is always chain 2, double crochet into the first, double crochet into the last, chain 2. So there is our double crochet into the first, double crochet into the last, and chain 2. So you can pause the video and keep working along, doing row 6, and I'll meet you at the end of the row right over here. At the end of your row, chain 2, and 1 double crochet into that first stitch of the set of 3 at the end. So 1 double crochet into that first stitch, and 1 double crochet into the chain. Just like that. So now you can pause the video and just keep growing your pattern. You can do rows 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6, depending which instructions suited you best. And I will see you when your scarf is the height or the length that you want it to be. When your scarf is the length you want it to be, this is how you're going to do the very last row. We're going to finish by finishing off our cupcakes. So if you have started your cupcakes in your last row, you're going to need to do 1 more row. We want to finish with the second row of cupcakes here. To start your last row, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and turn your work. So this counts as our first double crochet and chain 1. And we're going to work right into that very same stitch with our double crochet. So that is our V-stitch to start. Jump straight over to your cupcake. So finish your cupcake, 1 double crochet into each of the 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now next we are going to be doing our hourglass. Right? We're going to put our V-stitch right into the space on top of the cupcake, but this is where we're doing something a little bit different. So pop in your hook and make your 1 double crochet, but instead of doing our regular chain 3, we're just going to chain 1 and make 1 more double crochet into that very same space. So we're just doing an actual regular flat V-stitch instead of the space for another cupcake. Now jump straight over and put your second row onto that cupcake. So wrap your yarn 1 double crochet into each of the 5 stitches. And into the top of our cupcake, or into the center of our icing, we're going to do a small V. So 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 double crochet. Just like that. So you can pause the video and keep working along this last row of your scarf, and I'll meet you when you get to the end, right over here. At the end of our row, we're just going to be doing same as usual. So right into this space, right there, we are going to be doing our V-stitch. So 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 double crochet into that space. Just like that, and we're finished. So chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. And there is your fabulous easy crochet diamond cupcake scarf. So I hope you loved this as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked.